Everyone, you are watching Rob's Metalworks, and tonight we are at the home studio in support of regional music. Brings me great pleasure to welcome a very unique band, one of the only crossover thrash punk bands I've ever had on the program. Regionally, I have with me Mr. Al DeBarrio of the band called Confused. How are you doing, Al?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for having me back.
Talk a little bit about the beginnings of the band.
Confused started probably back in 1985 as just a bunch of kids just getting together, you know, just trying to make some noise. And it was all neighborhood little guys on 5th Street and 8th Street and 4th Street. And started writing punk stuff, you know, and a little thrashy. And then from there on, it just boop, boop, boop.
But where here?
In Edinburgh, Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's originally where Confused is from, and we stayed doing it down there. Well, I did till '93, and then I left in '93, and then Omar Yanez, he was trying to continue it back, I believe, in '95 to about and so on, and then I came back in probably around '99, 2004, and then I just ended up taking it on.
So, talk a little bit about the Valley. I think more now, probably in the past decade or so, I've been hearing a lot of great things with regards to heavy music in the Valley. But you're talking about, you know, mid '80s. So even back at that time, there was some metal roots and some heaviness going on down there. If you can, just quickly talk a little bit about the scene in the Valley at that time, and how you kind of came to know, you know, bands that obviously influenced your style.
Yeah, there used to be a guy, and he was a promoter, and he used to promote a lot of shows in Edinburgh, a place called the Sun Palace, and the guy's name was Rick McGee, and he would bring all these bands down from Dallas, like Rotting Corpse, you know, and then Corpus Christi, you have Devastation, Annihilator, you know, you have Arizona, Nuclear Death would come down. We had Blood come down, you know, which is Tom Araya's Young Brothers band come play. We would have all these bands just come there, Rigor Mortis, you know, of course, Watchtower, and Devastation, I don't know if I mentioned them, Decompose, Hershey Squirts, the Crayons, I mean, the list goes on. And then the Valley had their own scene. You know, we had Severance, which was originally, they're from McAllen, but they were originally called back in the days Rest in Pain. They were more like a black metal kind of image, you know, really great band, and they're still doing it to this day, you know. And you had a band called Cranial Overload, the Fart Blossoms, which is more punk. I mean, there was a scene way back then, and it was pretty good. And of course, Brownsville back in the early 80s had that punk band that was really big. They were called the Steroids. And the Steroids, of course, in Brownsville probably didn't do much. They went to San Francisco and ended up becoming something, you know, and might want to look them up. But yeah, and that's pretty much what happened. We would always, you know, the Valley's always had great musicians in my eyes, even from now. From bands that I've seen, every time I visit, like, you got the Pantheons, you got, of course, Belindresi.
You know, so getting back to Confused, you guys obviously have kind of been influenced by, you know, when I think of Confused, I use the word crossover because I hear like speed metal in your music, but yet I hear a lot of like punk influences. For those people out there who have never heard Confused, how would you kind of best describe what you're delivering?
You know, my biggest influence, of course, is Agnostic Front, SOD, MOD, DRI, Cryptic Slaughter, you know, those were, of course, even though it doesn't fit the genre of that kind of speed, Megadeth, you know, was another really big one for me, because listening to Killing Is My Business was probably one of my, wow, man, this is a badass album. Yeah. You know, so those are my influences, so me writing, and Suicidal Tendencies too, and Excel. So when I would write music, I would always try to see how I could create something that would stay within that 80 style, you know, and of course I feel mine's a little bit different, but it still has that feel of that kind of crossover.
I kind of feel too that really the band has kind of reached a new plateau now. I mean, especially how hard you've been kind of working behind the scenes to kind of put together kind of a good solid lineup for Confused, and really kind of putting the back end work into the band to kind of do things very professionally up on all fronts. So how has the band kind of Confused evolved since even when you got back in the band in the late 90s?
You know, everybody back in the days were really, really good musicians, but I think most of the things on these guys that they didn't have the ganas to go out and play. Yeah. I wanted to go out and do more. I did not want to do just local kind of thing or Texas thing. I want to get the name out there. So when I knew Bert, you know, he played with my brother. Him and my brother had a band called God's Last Breath. And when that band broke up, you know, I told Bert, hey man, you know, why don't you play with us? And I knew his picking had sort of like an Anthrax kind of pick, and I liked it. And I said, man, this guy would fit perfect because it would make it more crossover thrash and fast.
Right.
You know, and then Arnold, you know, our drummer, I mean, he's been in the scene for so long, and he's an amazing drummer. We played for Catastrophe. That's another band from back in the days. Catastrophe, you know, that was a really, really good band and very fast. So it would help, you know, make the band play a lot faster, made it sound meaner, you know, and as far as that, I mean, those two guys to me made it sound more of what I really wanted in the band.
And I think too, because I've heard some of the older demos of Confused, and I think you too, man. You've kind of stepped up your game too on the vocal style. You really I can hear like 2 or 3 different styles that you do when you sing.
Yeah, you know, I actually try to do that on purpose. You know, on the album is a lot of bands, they all sound the same.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the songs sound the same. So I said, you know what I'm going to do is, 1, you're going to understand what I'm saying. 2, I'm going to change my vocal tone on the songs to make them sound interesting, so it's never boring. You know, because you can hear an album, you'll be like, God damn, it sounds like this song. Yeah, that band sounds like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that when we did this. I wanted it to sound unique and different, but also catch the eye of people.
And San Antonio and people around the world, Al and I are talking about the band's brand new full-length CD. Check it out right here. It's called Behind Closed Doors. It's out there in the market right now. Be sure to look for it online and get your hands on it. Al, let's talk about this CD, man, in more detail, some of the details and technicalities of it, because it definitely, one of the first things that I noticed is, 1, the songs are very high quality songs, okay, and but also, 2, the production was just done really well.
Yeah, Charlie Vela, you know, his studio, man, he's going to get mad. Hold on. His studio, Sound of Rain Studios, you know, and I don't remember how I met Charlie, but, you know, Charlie, you know, has a really badass studio down there and in the valley
Yeah.
in Edinburgh. And what better place to do the album, you know, where my hometown where I grew up.
Sure.
And so I went ahead and I told him, you know, I want to come record with you, and we set it up there, man. And this guy was amazing. He's an amazing producer, man, an engineer. I like what he does. I like what he did to help make the quality of this album sound the way I wanted it to sound.
And you got some really cool artwork too, man. I've seen a couple of variations of the skeleton guy here, the skull guy.
Craig Holloway, amazing artist, you know, and also amazing musician. You know, the guy, he's been around the block for years, you know, and he's from Detroit, you know, and moved to California, then to Texas. You know, has his bands, which is Ricochet and the Blunt Force Trauma, you know, and then I'm glad, you know, that the guy joined Confused, you know, and I mean, it's awesome to have him there. He's a fun guy. I like his accent. He's got an accent.
So really, I mean, the whole kind of piece of work here that you put out, top class, man. I really dig it. And I just want to jump back a little bit and talk a little bit more about the songs too, because I've heard this CD a lot. It's in my phone and I listen to it almost every day. I like it because the songs are real. They hit you really fast and they're real punchy, man. And of course, the drummer is just like blasting away, so it sounds really good. And the lyrics, man, are kind of funny sometimes. I hear your lyrics. And, I don't remember the rat song. I love that one. Empire of Rats, yeah, killer song, man. So is there any, like, and I know kind of sometimes lyrically you're kind of talking about a bunch of different things, but sometimes I think to myself, I think underneath the surface I was kind of making a point here about something.
Well, you know, some of them are really good political songs, which is of course Behind Closed Doors, you know. I mean, little short songs that kind of keep it to the point, sort of like what's his name, Keith from Circle Jerks, you know, and Off. He would keep the song straight to the point.
Yeah.
Why add all this crap when you can just cut it down and make it sound like really cool? Yeah. And there's some on there that are just funny and stupid, you know, but you know, that's what it's about. I mean, there's too much seriousness out there, and I know a lot of the songs that I wrote are pretty serious, and some of them are they're funny, you know. I mean, Plastic Smiles, political bullshit, you know. No Trust, I mean, come on, we just speaks by itself. A lot of metaphors in this crap, you know, on this thing. Depression, yeah, that's pretty much about me. I was not feeling up to par one time, man, and I had thoughts, but I let those thoughts go quick, you know, because I was like, shit, I'll just write it out on paper, man, instead of doing something stupid to yourself.
Right, right.
But I like it. I like what I've done. I like what I've threw out there.
I think you should be really proud of it, man. Where can people go and get this if they want to get in their hands?
Bandcamp, is one. You can look us up on Reverb Nation if you have to. Local in the Rio Grande Valley, you can pick it up at Dynamite Records. You can pick it up at Hogwell Records. And I'm thinking Austin's carrying it. I don't know yet, but I think they have some out there too.
Or you can just go to a show and pick it up at the show.
Go pick up a CD, pick up a poster, a shirt, and come talk to us, man. We're cool dudes, man.
I really like I'm still one of those people that I like to have something tangible in my hand. It kind of makes me feel like my money is more legit than the spending of my money.
You know what a lot of people forget, and this is like when we were kids, is every time we bought something, of course we get into what the songs are, right? Yeah. But it's the artwork, man, that makes it more interesting, because you can't throw that away on what somebody did, and it's just a cool image of what people do. I mean, I know this is pretty plain, but sometimes when you get something really out there, I mean, it's like, wow, it's art. Somebody drew that. Like, who did that?
Let's talk. I just mentioned Confused shows. I know you were telling me that the band is about to take a little jaunt and get out there on the road. Talk a little bit about that.
We got asked to do a tour. It's a 7-day tour, but it starts in Sacramento on March 23rd, and it ends in Reno, Nevada, and I think it's March 29th. So we'll be out 7 days show, and it should be fun. We're co-headlining with Brick by Brick from New York, and I'm excited just to go out there and promote Confused. Yeah. I mean, I know their genre's different than ours, but I think that it'll fit perfect because, we got that old school style.
And after this little run, do you want to continue to do more shows? I know you and I, not to let the cat out of the bag, you and I have kind of been discussing about possibly doing like a big show in the Valley maybe this summer.
Yes, I do plan to do a CD release this summer there in the Valley, and I want to try to bring some heavy hitters involved in this, but as special guests. And definitely would love you to be down there and see what it's all about. The place that I want to do it at is pretty amazing place. It's pretty big. It's pretty cool. So
you're thinking about having some Valley bands on the bill?
Yeah, I want to put a couple of Valley bands on there, and I just want to try to make this thing where people will remember and not forget, and give them a little piece of a thank you, for everybody trying to keep us and supporting us.
For many years of support.
Yeah, for many years of support, even the haters.
They're invited too, and I hope we can make it happen. I'd love to go down to the Valley, all my brothers and sisters out there, my metal people. I'd love to go down in the Valley and hang out with you guys and have a good time, support local music down there in the Valley. So hopefully you will see me soon. You will see me soon. So Al, as we continue on, what about, I know you were telling me too that there were some kind of people who contributed to some of the music on the CD, like not just your band, but you had some other musicians kind of participate as well.
We had Scott from Dead Horse, he got on here and he did the solos, for Empire Rats, and he also did it for Plastic Smiles with Bert, and I thought that was really cool. He says, hey man, let me jump in on it, and then we just send him the tracks and he sent it back, and I was like, wow, this is cool. He did a badass job, man. Yeah. So that was awesome. Dead Horse, Texas, Houston, Texas.
I know you're a big fan of that band. I know and I know also too, just from knowing you personally, that your network in the scene is kind of pretty strong, man. You have a lot of connections. You know a lot of musicians, like Kurt and them from DRI. You're friends with all those guys, so that's cool, man.
It's a blessing, man. I mean, everybody's badass. Everybody's really cool, and it's cool if everybody sticks together and keeps the scene to make it a scene, because once you start blowing people off or ignoring things, and then the scene disappears. Yeah. I mean, music's not about age, it's what you have here. Yeah. And if everybody kept that right there, sort of like what you do, I mean, look what you do. This is amazing. I mean, and thanks for having me here. And the scene would always stay decent and big. Yeah. I think everybody should recognize, man, and do something like that grand. Because you're out there every day just like I try to. Yeah. I promote this band 1,000,000,000%. People probably get sick of it, but I promote it because I'm proud of these guys, that are in jamming with me, and I'm proud of the scene. I don't care what scene it is. I like talking to people. It's fun.
You're gonna be out there tonight supporting Louis Seidel.
Louis Seidel and Annihilator from Corpus Christi. Yeah.
Wow, cool.
This should be fun.
I'm sorry I'm gonna have to miss it, man. I gotta go enjoy some St. Patrick's festivities.
That's nice. I mean, that's awesome.
Let's talk about some of your other endeavors. I mean, you're a pretty, you're a pretty sharp guy. You're pretty kind of always kind of staying busy. And I came to know not too long ago about Confused Records. You have your own kind of record label that you're supporting and doing, working with artists that obviously you respect and like. So talk a little bit about the label, why you wanted to do the label, and who do you have on the label, and kind of what you're going to be doing in 2016.
Well, I put myself, of course, on the label, and to help promote Confused, to get it out there as far as I can. Then I invited 0%, which is Jason McMaster's brother, Randy McMaster, and a really good band. I mean, those guys really kick ass. And then Force Fed, which is Scott from Dead Horse. I mean, man, that band, if you like Excel, you'll like this band Force Fed, because they have that style and that image and that flow, and it's really, really good. So Scott and I have been talking. I told him, hey man, why don't you, he was like, yeah, let's try it out. Let's do this stuff. I even help a San Antonio band, Sudden Attack, and I put them on the label. And I what I did is I would press copies and I would give them 80. They could do whatever they want with it, and I would keep 20. And I would send my 20 to different people and let them hear and see what they thought about this band. Right. And I'd ask these guys, put your information on the back, let them know how they can get a hold of you, and maybe somebody will pick you up and give you guys chances to play out in different places. It's pretty much what it is. And some of them go to labels that I know, and hopefully somebody will pick these guys up and give them an opportunity. I did it with Belligerency. Right now we're working on something, and that's a badass thrash band.
Yeah, thanks for sending me the link on their video when they just opened up for Notoya. I actually saw the majority of that video. Pretty cool, heavy band.
Oh, they're very heavy, man. And those guys, they need to be represented. I mean, they're really, really good. I mean, the guy who created the band, his name is Serge, and he's also a guy who promotes all the shows in Harlingen, Texas, at the place called the Hop Shop. Mm-hmm. And the Hop Shop, man, is sort of, I'm not going to say it's a CBGB's, but, everybody likes going there and checking out shows because it's a lot of fun. And Serge brings a lot of bands down there, and he represents these guys really, really well. And you got to respect somebody who's not afraid. If he loses money, he still pays these bands and make sure that they get out. And that's badass.
More about the scene and supporting than it is about money.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who forget about that. If you're gonna bring somebody down, you better have your pockets fat, because it's not right that you're gonna have somebody come and you don't have the money to pay them.
I've seen some of that happen in the past, and it's always ugly.
Yeah, me too.
Also, one of the things that you do, and one of the things that I've been privy to know about, is kind of like your side band. You do a band called Aldebario.
It's just called
Del Barrio. Okay, so talk a little bit about that band. How is it different than Confused?
It's not hardcore, that's for sure. It's not fast music. It's just I like rock. And I like to play rock. I like to sing rock. Mm-hmm. I like to change it up. Most of the time people see you and they think, oh man, this guy, all he does is scream. Yeah. But I do other things too, and I'm actually starting something with a friend of mine named Bill, and we're going to be doing acoustic sets. Wow. And start doing just some rock songs, and we're going to videotape it and put it on Facebook, and we're going to invite any musician who's out there who wants to come and do an acoustic song with us. Just come and jam and have a good time, man, because music, man, it's right here. And it's just about having fun, and that's what I want to do. I want to keep it going and have fun doing music.
Yeah. Well, keep me informed of that, man. I'd like to go out to one of those shows and check it out, because I want to hear you sing.
It'll be at the house, so you're more than welcome.
Right. You gonna cook some ribs up?
Oh, we'll definitely cook some ribs, man.
You make the best ribs.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. I like to cook.
And you're good at it. So awesome, Al. Any last words before we end out? Anything that we missed or that you want to share with people around the world who will see this interview?
Keep music alive, man. I don't care what scene y'all like. Just keep it alive. Support every band that you think you can support, man. And don't shit on anybody. Respect. And work. Thanks for Rob, man. I mean, dude, you did an amazing job, man. Thank you. I feel honored to be here.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate your time. I always appreciate, the sincere conversations we have about heavy music and about life. I always love your hospitality, man. You know how to treat your friends right. So I look forward to continuing to listen to your music. I look forward to continuing to support you in 2016 and beyond. Remember, everyone out there, the brand new CD from Confused is out. It's called Behind Closed Doors. Be sure to look it up right now and get it in your hands. You will definitely thrash your heads off. You saw Confused only on Rob's MetalWorks.